The autumn wind rustled through the park, sending golden leaves dancing across the ground. On an old wooden bench, a man in an expensive suit sat hunched over, his head bowed, his eyes staring blankly at the ground. His name was Alexander Cole, CEO of one of the largest corporations in the city, a man who had everything money could buy, and yet he had nothing that mattered. To the outside world, Alexander was powerful, untouchable, and respected, but inside, he was hollow. His mansion was filled with silence, his dining table always set for one. His parents had long passed away. He'd never married, and in the race to build an empire, he had pushed away friends and connections. He had power, but no one to share it with. That day, he came to the park to escape his suffocating emptiness. He didn't expect anyone to notice him, much less speak to him. But then, "Why do you look so sad?" The small, innocent voice startled him. He looked up and saw a little girl standing in front of him, clutching a half-eaten ice cream cone. Her hair was in two messy braids, her cheeks were rosy from the cold air, and her eyes, those big, unguarded eyes, looked at him with genuine curiosity. "I'm not sad," Alexander said automatically, forcing a faint smile. The girl tilted her head, unconvinced. "Yes, you are. Grown-ups only sit like that when they're lonely." "Are you lonely?" Alexander hesitated. No one had ever asked him that so directly. He wanted to deny it, to put on his mask, but the honesty in her gaze disarmed him. For the first time in years, he admitted the truth, if only in a whisper. "Maybe I am." The girl grinned, as if she had solved a puzzle. Then, without hesitation, she said the words that would change. "Everything you can be in our family if you want." Alexander blinked, stunned. "Your family?" She nodded seriously. "It's just me and Mommy. We don't have a daddy, but you can sit with us. Families are supposed to make each other happy, right?" Her innocence cut deeper than any business deal or contract he had ever faced. Before he could respond, the girl's mother appeared, carrying a grocery bag. She looked flustered, apologizing quickly. "I'm so sorry if she's bothering you. Lily, come here." But Alexander shook his head. "She's not bothering me. She's helping me." The woman studied him cautiously, as most people did when faced with a stranger in a sharp suit. But unlike everyone else, she didn't recognize him as the famous CEO. To her, he was just a tired man sitting on a bench. Her name was Emily. She was a single mother, working 2 jobs to keep food on the table and a roof over their heads. Life wasn't easy, but she raised her daughter with love, laughter, and hope, things Alexander hadn't felt in decades. That day, instead of returning to his empty mansion, Alexander accepted their invitation to walk home with them. Their apartment was small, a little worn, but it radiated warmth. Lily showed him her drawings taped to the fridge. Emily served him simple soup for dinner. For the first time in years, Alexander didn't eat alone. Days turned into weeks. Alexander kept visiting. At first, he told himself it was just to humor Lily, but soon he realized he needed their company more than anything. He found himself laughing at Lily's silly stories, listening to Emily's quiet strength as she shared her struggles, and realizing how much he had missed the beauty of ordinary life. But his world and theirs were different. The closer he got, the more he worried. What if they discovered who he really was? The ruthless CEO, the man people feared. Would they still welcome him? Would they see him as a friend, or as a walking wallet? One evening, it all came crashing down. Emily found out the truth, not because Alexander told her, but because she saw him on the news. "Alexander Cole, the billionaire?" she asked, hurt flickering in her eyes. "Why didn't you tell me?" He lowered his gaze, ashamed. "Because I didn't want to be Alexander Cole with you. I just wanted to be Alex. I was afraid if you knew, everything would change." For a long moment, Emily said nothing. He feared she would shut the door on him, that the fragile family he had found would vanish. But then, Lily tugged on his hand and said the words again, words that reminded him of why he came into their lives in the first place. "You can still be in our family if you want." Tears welled in Alexander's eyes. For the first time in years, someone wanted him, not for his money, not for his power, but simply for him. From that day forward, everything changed. Alexander used his wealth not to fill his own emptiness, but to lift up Emily and Lily. He helped Emily go back to school, supported her dream of becoming a teacher, and made sure Lily had every opportunity to shine. But more importantly, he was there not as a CEO, not as a benefactor, but as a father figure and a partner. The man who once sat alone on a park bench now sat at a crowded dinner table, helping with homework, listening to bedtime stories, and learning what it meant to belong. He discovered that true success wasn't measured in wealth, but in love shared, in lives touched, and in the family you choose. Years later, Alexander would often look back on that day, in the park, the day a little girl with braids and an ice cream cone looked into his heart and saw what no one else had. The day she offered him something all his billions could never buy, a family dot, and he finally understood that sometimes the smallest voices carry the greatest truths, because when Lily said, "You can be in our family if you want," she wasn't just inviting him into their lives. She was saving his inspiring message. No amount of success can replace love, kindness, and belonging. Sometimes, the people who have the least materially can give the most emotionally. True family isn't always the one you're born into, it's the one that opens its door and says, "You belong."